Okay, good evening, everyone. If you're not speaking, can you just mute yourself, please? I'm hoping everyone can hear me. So for today's class, we're going to be looking into automation. We're going to be trying to automate a page and hopefully run the page as well. And then we're also going to be looking into a couple of Java keywords as well that you are meant to know. So we're going to be looking into Java programming because the internship is for automation testing with Java in this cohort. So starting off from, or taking it back a notch from where Oyi started off, we are going to be creating a new project. We are going to be importing the test ng, the test runner, the POM, and we are also going to be creating a feature file with steps inside of it, and we'll also create step definitions for some of the Gherkin steps that we have in the feature file as well. And I'm going to be explaining what feature file is, what step definition is, how they are connected together, and how we also bind them as well in IntelliJ. And I'm going to be talking about some other Java keywords as well, like public, static, constructors. We will probably look at inheritance later on in the program, and void methods. We are also going to be looking into locators today, the types of locators, the major ones you're meant to know, expert, absolute, and relative expert. And if you don't get to go over all of them today, we're going to continue in the next class as well. But I just wanted to put that out there, just so you know we're going to be looking at, looking into this training. So starting off, we're going to be creating a new project, like I mentioned. And if you already have your IntelliJ set up already up onto where we stopped in the last class, your page will probably look something like this, or maybe not similar to this, but your IntelliJ is basically opened. That is what should happen. So if you want to create a new project, all you need to do is to go to File at the top and click on New, then Project. And if I go back to File and New, you can see there are different options available. There are options to create an entirely new project from existing sources, or project from version control. So the project from version control is basically from a Git repository, and that's going to be looked at next week, Tuesday, with Kwame. And it's going to be very good if you all attend the class as well. And we're going to be creating from a new project, and we already have it opened up. And what I'm going to do next is to type the project name. I'm going to call it test project. And the location I want to save it as is my desktop. So you guys are probably, if there isn't a Windows, it may be, the folder may be called Idea Project, if I'm correct. That should be the name of the folder. Or if you want to create a separate folder as well, you can also do that. But I'm just going to keep my own in my desktop and leave it there. The language I'm using today is Java. The build system is Maven, and my Java 17 has already been auto detected. So that's why it's just showing up here. And I'm going to click on create afterwards. And I'm going to be prompted to either open the new project in this existing window or a new window, but I always just say open a new window. And once that is opening up, you would see it indexing or refactoring down here. So I'm just going to let that complete by itself, and then we will then start looking into creating our other folders that we need. So I don't know if Oyin mention what I'm going to talk about now. So you can see we have a project. The project name is Test Project. We have SRC and we have main and test. So the important folder you're going to be needed for your automation is SRC and then the test. So the main, you do not create anything inside the main. So people make mistakes and go and create their step definition feature file inside the main, and then they are expecting the test to run and wondering why it's not running. So the only folder you need to look into or be conscious about, or the only folder you need to work on is the test. And inside the test, we have the Java as well. So you can see inside main, we've got Java, but we want the Java. I'm going to be looking into the Java folder that's got like the green color on it. I don't know if it shows green on Windows, but we're going to be looking at the Java inside the test folder basically. So before we do anything else, we are going to fill in our POM details. And using the link that Oyin sent previously, I'm going to copy my POM from there. Yeah. So I'm going to pick up from dependencies. All the way down to build, copy that up and go back to my IntelliJ and just paste it in there. And once that has been pasted, you would see this prompt up here. All you need to do is to load the Maven changes. And once you click on that, you would see the last line on your file, like it's going to be like nothing, just basically trying to reload everything else. And what do we have here? And another thing I'm going to mention is the POM file is going to be updated hopefully by the next 2 sessions. If it's not the next session that I'm going to be having with you guys, it's going to be the session afterwards, because some of the dependencies in here, you really don't need them. So once I'm able to get my IntelliJ sorted and working properly, then I will then be able to share the updated POM with you and also the test runner as well. So what I'm basically doing now is just trying to force the imports for all of these ones. And in most cases, if you don't have any red in your IntelliJ, then you don't have to bother about anything. The yellow basically means either the dependencies needs to be updated or they're no longer supporting that version basically. So if I show you an example, I think I saw an example no longer ago. So this is basically a warning. It says provides transitive vulnerable dependency. So it is either Maven repository doesn't support this dependency anymore and it wants you to just sort of upgrade. That's why you probably see warnings in there. And that's why we have 12 warnings. Or if you, the only time you need to worry is if you see like red lines here, just like you're seeing the yellow lines as well. So most people see the yellow lines and then they panic, but you only need to panic if you see red lines. And in most cases, the warning lines, they go away, and in most cases, they don't. But they don't sort of stop you from running your test. They're basically just telling you that we may not be able to run the test to the best of our abilities, because we've stopped supporting this dependency version, and all you basically need to do is to update it. But for now, I'm not going to do anything, and before the next class, I would get the updated version sent across to everybody after the class. So moving on, we have added our form details. So the next thing we need to do is to create the test ng file. And to create a test ng file, click on the test project, click on new, and then click on file. I'm going to call it testng.xml. Press enter, and you would have this file created. And all I'm going to do is to copy and paste the value that I have here, and simply paste it in here. Right, so once you've done that, you would see your line 6 showing in red, and that's simply because it is trying to find the test runner file, but you don't have it in your project just yet because you've not created one. So all you need to do next is to create your test runner, and where we create a test runner is inside the Java folder, the green Java folder. You just need to right click on new, and we're going to use the Java class because that's the type of file the test runner is. And you can see the test runner starts with a capital T and capital R, and that's just what you need to do as well. Test runner, ensure it's on class, and click on enter. So we've got our test runner class now. So what I'm going to do next is to copy the components for the test runner class on the same website. I've highlighted them already. I'm just going to right click and copy. Go back to my test runner and simply paste in there. Right. So the next thing I need to do now is to create my resources folder and my step definition, because those are one of the important folders you'll be needing in your automation pack. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the feature file, which is under the resources and the step definition, are connected together, and they are connected using this test runner file. Because if you have your feature file and you have your step definition and they are not connected in one way, then your test is not going to run properly or as expected. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to create my resources folder, and that's going to be created under test. So the Java is inside of the test folder. So I'm going to create my resources inside my test folder. And the reason why I'm doing that is because you can see here inside your test runner on line 9, it says the feature folder should be created under SRC test, then your resources, then your features. So that's what I'm going to follow as well. So so this is my SRC, this is my test, but inside my test, I don't have a folder called resources. So that's what I'm going to first create next. So I'll right click on test, click on new directory, and I'm going to call it resources. And the reason why my resources here is showing is because I've probably created it multiple times and it's just basically suggesting it for me, but I'm not going to click on that one just yet. So in most cases, you may not see this suggestion, but even if you see the suggestion, I would say you shouldn't click on it yet. So I'm going to click on enter. That basically clicked on it. Let me try deleting it again because I wanted to show you guys something. I'll do that again. Directory, resources, please don't. Anyways, right. So if you create a resource folder, you would either see just a blank folder like this one that we have for SRC, or a folder that is going to have this icon next to it. But that does not mean your resources folder is fully created just yet. We need to mark it as test resources root. So in order to do that, you just need to right click on resources, go to mark directory as test resources root, and click on that. Then you would see your resource folder should have 2 icons now. So once that is showing up as 2 icons, you can then go ahead to create the feature folder. And in order to do that, you just basically need to right click on resources, new directory, and you call it features, and press enter. And once that is done, so that is you created your feature folder so far. And the next thing we need to do is to create our feature files. But before we do that, I mentioned previously that we need our feature files and then we need our step definitions. So feature file is just, the feature folder contains feature files, and feature files are just like the high-level description of the test scenario that you want to run in a simple language. And the language is called Gherkin. And you would remember at the very start when we installed IntelliJ, we installed 2 specific plugins, and one of them was called Gherkin. And the Gherkin is basically the language we're going to be writing our test scenarios in. So we're going to be looking into that shortly. But before we go to creating a feature file, let's create our step definitions. And in order to do that, you need to click on Java, right click on that, click on new, and click on packages. So you can see your glue on line 10 just here inside the test runner file that is opening up. The glue is called step defs. Step defs also means step definition. So if I want to, I can decide to use this name to create my step definition folder, or I can change the name for my step definition folder, then come back to change the name here as well, because the name needs to be the same, because the step definition is basically the glue. So it is going to be corresponding to your, so basically the step definition is the glue to your feature file, your page object, and any other files you're going to be using within your automation pack. So if the name for the glue here is incorrect, then your test is not going to run. So what we need to do next is basically use the same name to create our step definition. And I'm going to use the same name, step defs, all lower cases, and press enter. So you can see the step def created under the Java folder already. That's great. So now I want to create my feature file now. But before then, I'm going to show you the website we are going to try to automate today. So this is just a test website that's been created by one of the developers at Blue Sky Citadel. And this is going to also be like one of the test websites we'll be using throughout the training. And there are other test websites as well. And I will obviously encourage people to try to automate as many websites as they can alongside the stories that the PBIs will be automating within your sprint as well. So on this automation form, we're going to be looking at fields, we're going to be looking at drop downs, we are going to be looking at options, we're going to be looking at checkboxes, we are going to be looking at clicking a button as well. And there are also websites that also look into like uploading files or uploading pictures, or like selecting like a pop-up that comes up on your screen, an alert switch, and all of those things. So there are different websites you can basically, there are different things you can test on a website. So, but basically, this is a website we are going to be testing. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So this is the website we're going to be testing. And looking at this type of form, we can obviously guess that it is some form of a registration form, because it is a login form. We'll basically have either your username and your password, then the click or submit button, or you can have your email field, your password field, and then a submit button as well. But this is looking like a registration form. And yeah, so that's what we're going to call the name of the feature file. So the feature we're going to be testing is a registration feature. So how do we create our feature file? We already have a feature folder here that is called features. So you can see the resources as an S, the feature as an S. And that is exactly what I have replicated here, because people make mistakes and create resource, they create feature, and not features and not resources. So the feature path that we have here needs to match with the name of the files that you've created. So when we are creating a feature file, we need to create it into our features folder. And all you need to do is basically right click on the feature folder, the features folder, click on new, and then file. And we're going to call that registration.feature and click on enter. Just give me a minute, please. And I am back, and we are going to be creating a registration feature. And like I mentioned earlier, a feature file is basically a high-level description of the test scenario we want to run. And it's going to be written in a language called Gherkin, and Gherkin just basically means a plain English text language. But the Gherkin has a syntax, and I showed you guys as well in the first automation setup video that we had. I just mentioned it briefly. So we are going to be writing our feature file in a Gherkin language, and the different keywords that you see have got different meaning. And I'm going to be touching on each one of them. And if I don't touch on all of them today, as we use them along the training, I'm going to be touching on them as well. So the first one that we are going to be looking at is called feature. And you can already see before I completed the word feature, it was showing in white. But after I completed it fully, it showed in orange. I'm guessing that's orange color. And the feature is basically one of the major keywords and the most important keyword when you're writing your feature file. And it basically describes the current test scenario that is about to be executed or that you're currently writing. And basically, what we are going to be doing now is to describe the test we are trying to do. So we are trying to run a registration feature file for a registration page. So I'm going to call the name of the feature something meaningful, like okay, let me see, registering. Registering an interest. Registering. Registering for online training. That's basically describing what the registration form is about. You're registering your details for an online training. And if I press enter, the next keyword that is needed or important is what we call scenario. You can see that it's scenario, there's scenario outline and scenario template. So the major ones you'll be using are scenario and scenario outline. And the scenario basically describes the step and the expected outcome for a particular test case. Why the scenario outline is basically executing the same scenario multiple times for multiple sets of data. So we're going to be looking into scenario outlines and scenarios as well. But for today, we're going to be using just the keyword scenario. And the scenario we're looking at is valid registration. So that's just what I'm going to call the scenario name now. I'm going to type valid registration and press enter. So you can see as I am pressing enter, the line keeps going in, and most people make a mistake of not adding the semicolon, or they just add a dash, but IntelliJ is not going to pick that up. It's going to know something is wrong. So you need to be adding your semicolons there. So now the next keywords that we're going to be looking at are what we need or what is needed to write the different steps that we're going to write in for our test cases. So the first one is given and when, okay, I didn't do this one properly. And when, and we have then. So the keywords are given and when and then. So these are the major ones you'll be using. There are other keywords as well. There is but and other ones also. But I'm going to be sending resources into the group, the QA Guild group chat, just for you to sort of read upon some important things I'm going to touch on today. So you can see they're all meant to be in yellow, but because I don't have anything filled in front of them, that's why these ones are white, and then orange. But I'm going to be deleting them shortly, but I just want to explain what each of these keywords mean. So when you hear the word given, or when you're using the word given, so that basically describes the initial context of the system, like it just basically sets the tone of the scenario. And it is typically something that happened in the past. And we can have something like given I navigate to a website, or given I have started a game, or given I have a balance of £42 or 50 pence. So basically set the tone for what you're trying to do. And when we hear the word and basically is like a continuation of the given. So instead of having given, you're meant to only have one given. You can have as many ands as possible. You can have as many then as possible, but you need to use them reasonably as well. But and is considered a continuation of given. So when we talk about when, so when is also a major keyword that we use when we're writing our Gherkin step, and it basically describes an action or an event. And it can be a situation where a person is interacting with a system or trying to trigger another system, or trying to trigger another system, basically. So when can be when I click on a button, or when I am omit a field, or when I withdraw money from my account, then my balance is reduced. So then basically describes the expected outcome or the result. So all of these major keywords, if you know what they are, you know when to use them, basically. So I can say, if I'm trying to log into my Gmail account, this is how I'm going to write my Gherkin steps for my feature, for a valid login to my Gmail account. Given, let me start, given you can see it's already, the given is already in orange. Given I navigate to the Gmail website, and I enter my email address, and I enter my password. When I click on the submit button, then I am logged in to my account. So given the setting the pace of the event, so given I navigate to my website, given I navigate to the Gmail website, so when you navigate to the website, what are you still doing? You need to enter your email address, you need to enter your password. So those are also sort of setting the pace of the scenario as well. When I click on the submit button, so when you're triggering an action, you're triggering the Gmail website to do something. So when I click on the submit button, what do you expect to happen? Assuming you've entered a valid email address and valid password, you're expected to be logged into your account. Then I am logged into my account. So the then step is describing the expected outcome and the result, or the result basically. So this is how you're meant to use you're meant to write your feature file in IntelliJ basically. So I don't know if anyone has got any questions so far or wants to take questions at the end. No questions, okay? That's fine. So we're going to move on. So I'm going to call this valid email registration. So like I mentioned initially, we're going to be automating this automation form page, and we have considered it to be a registration page as well. So the fields we need to consider are first name and last name field, the email, the height, are you vegetarian or not, where are you located, and all of this one. So basically we're going to be writing Gherkin steps for each one of them. So we are going to start off with, so I'm going to ask a question now. So what is going to be my now, so what is going to be my first line for my Gherkin step? I am trying to automate this page, but what do I need to do first? So can someone tell me?
You have to navigate to the developertraining.yourtakers.com.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to say, given I navigate to the website, and off the top of my head, I think I need to put, I don't want it to be too, Just gonna minimize this one and see if I can move this one here as well. Just so it's sort of side by side and you can see what I am doing. Okay, then this should be fine. I'm gonna minimize this one too. Great. So given I navigate to the website, and when you navigate to the website, the page is loaded. Then the next thing I'm meant to do is to fill in the first name and the last name. So I'm going to continue, and I fill out the first name and last name field. And I enter so the next one is the vegetarian option, and I select the right vegan option. Into my location. How long have you been searching for a career change? And I select the right option for the career change question. So for this particular one, for this test scenario, I'm going to, so I don't want to like bore, okay, we really don't have much left. So I'm just going to quickly finish them off. We've got cost choice, cost choice, and I select my question. What day best suits you? And I select the time. Music, good. So you've done all of this. So these are like all the preconditions. And these are what you need to do in order to trigger the action that you need to be done. So the next thing we're going to do now is going to be, the next thing we're going to have now is going to be a when step, because you've selected all of these options. So I'm just going to fill it now. So vegetarian, less than 6, I'll pick 6 months to 1 year. Reading, software testing. So this is a checkbox, so you can select more than one option, but this is a radio button, so you can only select one option. So I'm going to select 2 options here. What day best suits me? Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. What time? Evening. So this is a radio button as well, so we can only select one option. Favorite music, jazz. So when I click the submit button, then what is going to be my expected results? Then, so I'm going to click the submit button, and then what happens? Did I click the submit button? Okay. Then the form is submitted. And then you need to do an assertion for this particular keyword that you have here. So I'm going to, I forgot to mention, we're going to look at assertion as well. So assertion is basically how you verify your expected result to the actual one, or how to verify that something is visible on the page. That obviously you expected it to be there, but you're verifying that it is actually on the page as well. So when we click on the submit button, then the form is submitted. Right. I'm going to expand.
Hello?
So we've written our test. Hi. Hello? So I'm not sure who spoke now. Okay. So we've written our test case now for the automation form website. So what we need to do next is to create the step definition. We need to create the glue, and we need to insert our code inside of it. So before we do that, I'm going to comment out the Gmail scenario that we wrote. So if you want to comment out any lines, sorry about that. So if you want to comment out lines in your feature file, you basically just need to add like the hash symbol to the front of the line that it basically comments it out. But if you're using a Windows, you can do, the shortcut is Command ? Sorry, if you're using a Mac, it's Command ? If you're using a Windows, you can try Control ? just to see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you can just add the asterisk by yourself. But there should definitely be a shortcut for commenting out a lot of lines at once, because you don't want to be adding the asterisks one after the other. As me, you're trying to comment out 50 lines. You don't want to be adding the asterisks 50 times on a single line. All you need to do is highlight them, and then just do either Control ? or Command ? Then basically comment out the lines for you. So there are also intelligent sheets, so like simple commands that you can do on your keyboard and basically perform actions as well, rather than just like going to like edit, then looking for it. So one of them, an example of a simple command is Ctrl+C, Ctrl+S, Ctrl+V, and all of those things. And I don't know if you can see my options that I'm showing you right now for the edit. So to undo is Ctrl+Z, Command Z. For Windows, it's going to be a Ctrl+Z. So I think if you open up the, if you click on the edit button on your Windows or your Mac device, you should be able to see the the sheet commands here, or you can simply Google them as well. And there are loads of them you can use in IntelliJ. If you want to do a double line, it's Control D or Command D, and all of those things as well. So yeah, if you want me to look for that for you, you can let me know and I can obviously send it to the group chat. You don't have to memorize all of them. I also did not know some of the commands I'm using now before I started my job. I obviously learned on the job as well, but it would be good if you are able to learn only 2 of the commands, not all of them, so that you can make your work easier, neater, and all of those things as well. So I can always look for it and send it to the group later on, but it's not compulsory. You don't have to memorize it. It just becomes an habit once you're using it on a regular basis. So moving on, like I mentioned, we're going to be creating a step definition next. And what do we understand by step definition? So the step definition, like I mentioned, is a glue that is needed to map the test cases in the feature file to your codes they are going to write. And the glue, we've already implemented the glue already in our test runner. We have specified the file that we want to act as the glue, which is the step def. And we've also made sure that the name correlates to each other, like basically the name is the same. So how do you create your step definition? So there are different ways you can create your step definition. You can either start by right-clicking on here, new Java class, and then typing out the name of the file that you want to name the file. Or you can click on the first line of your scenario, which is going to be the given. And once you click on it, you will see a bulb. You click on the bulb, click on create step definition. And there are 2 things that can happen here. It can either work correctly or it may not work. And I don't know why that happens. But if it doesn't work correctly, I can show you the other method that you can try. So I'm going to do that again. I clicked on my given, the orange, the part highlighted in orange, not the given itself, but the other words in that sentence. Clicked on it, and I can see a bulb. I clicked on the bulb, create step definition. I just want to create one for now. I don't want to create all step definition, just create step definition. And I'm going to rename the file. I would always recommend people to rename the step definition file based on the feature file that you're working on, so that it's easy for you to figure things out, or for when, or in a case where somebody else is reading your code or looking into your code, they will basically understand how the files are matching each other. So I always recommend people to name their step definition the same name as the feature file. So in here, I'm going to call it registration step def. And the other thing you need to do is to specify the location of the file. If you're lucky enough, it's going to pick up the step definition folder that you've created here. But if you're not lucky, like I am not, you need to go and look for it. So I'm just going to make sure I am in the right project. SRC test Java step definition. And I'm going to click on open. And you can see it already has the name of the step definition here. And that's the name of the file I've created as well. So I'm going to click on OK. And fingers crossed. Yep. So that did not create it properly. But we can obviously see the name that we give in the file, like the folder, the Java file is already created on that step definition. But the formatting that I want, this is now I want it to look like. This is wrong. So what I'm going to do now is to delete this one and show you the other method that you can try. So normally I would have gone to like copy a given or a step definition from a previous project, bring it in here and then make the modifications by myself. But I don't want to confuse you guys, so I'm going to just delete this one and show you the other method that you can try. So I'm going to delete. And the other method you can try is to go to your step dev folder, right click on it, click on new, and then Java class. And I'm going to call it registration dev. And I'm going to ensure it's on class, and I'll click on enter. Right. So once that is done, I'm going to go into my registration feature file, and I'm going to try to run this feature file. We can obviously see that it says undefined step reference, but I'm going to try to run the file. I'm going to allow IntelliJ generate the step definition for me. And the way you do that is to basically right click on the registration.feature, and then you click on run feature. You can already see it has the name of the feature file registration that we've created here. So basically right click on it, click on run feature registration, and I'm going to run that, and it should create the step definition for me in my console. So it's not going to be created in the step definition file here. It's going to be in my console. Right. So, okay, this is not creating it for me. That's weird. Because normally it should create it like this. This is what I wanted to bring up. You can see it says step undefined. You can implement this step using the snippets below. So this is what it's meant to give me, something like this. And all I need to do is to just basically copy, come back to my step definition, and then paste it in here. And what I then need to do is to click on the given, and you can see it's going to tell you what you're meant to do. I think because I'm using a Mac, it can be confusing, but on Windows, it's going to say Command plus Enter. But on Mac, it's showing me Control plus Enter. But on Windows, it's going to show you. Okay, I think I'm mixing it up. So on Windows, it's going to show you Control plus Enter. On Mac, it's going to show you Command Enter. So this is a Mac version, so that's why it's showing up like this. But for Windows, once you click on the given, it's going to tell you what you're meant to do next. And then that you just need to follow the instructions. So it's going to show you Control plus Enter. But because I'm using a Mac, it's showing me Command Enter. So that's what I'm going to do. So if I do a command, so you notice that I only have one line up here. But see what happens when I do the Control plus Enter. It's already imported the given import for me, and you can see it's no longer showing a red line. So this is what should have happened, and this is how the step definition should have been created when assuming I clicked on the red bulb here and do all of the steps, but I don't know why it's not working. But yeah, so once we've done that, you can see this line is also showing red as well. All you need to do is just basically comment it out, or you can just delete the line. So you can see the way you comment, or the way the comment works in the step definition is different from the feature file. In the feature file, it is the hash sign, but in your step definition, it's just 2 forward slashes you need. And if you want to do a bulk comment as well, you basically just need to highlight the lines you want to comment, then do a control question mark or command question mark, then it's going to comment it out for you. So this is how I was expecting my step definition to be created when I created it the normal way. But now I'm going to check out something. But given I navigate to the website, I think I did, yeah. So I needed to have changed the wording because I copied it from a previous project. So given I navigate to the website, change this one to website. And if I go back to my feature file, that should not be showing in orange anymore. Yeah, so you can see it's now showing plain white. And that basically means that my feature file and my step definition are now connecting together. But you can see the other ones are still showing orange because they are still undefined. I've not defined them at all. And to navigate to your step definition, all you need to do is right click on the Gherkin step and click on go to, I think it's declaration, yeah. Or the shortcut is to click on the step, do a Control B or a Command B, then it takes you to the step definition as well. So these are the little commands that you would be getting used to and learning along the way as well. So now that we've created the first line, let us create a step definition for the rest of the steps. So we click on the part that is highlighted in yellow or orange. You would see the bulb. Click on create all step definitions. And then I have the step definition file I want it to be created in, but assuming you want to create it in a separate file, we click on create new file. I want to create it in this same step definition file, so I'm going to click on the registration step def. So once I click on that, it should automatically create the steps for me. Yeah. So this is the step created. And here we go. So if I go back to this now, all the yellow lines are now gone. So basically my steps are now connected to the feature file. I can click on any step and navigate to the step definition and it should take me there instantly. Great. So now the next thing we're going to do is to try to open up the website. So that is telling my IntelliJ to open up the website I'm going to specify. And the website I'm going to specify would be the one up here. So how do I do that? So this is where your Java programming skills would be needed and where they would also come in as well. Right, so first off, we are going to be declaring or specifying our WebDriver. And we are not going to be having a normal Java programming class, but we're going to be incorporating the Java programming alongside the automation classes as well. But if you want to watch or if you want to learn the Java programming on its own, then there are videos that I've done for the past 2 or 3 cohorts on Blue Sky Citadel website that you can take a look at. I can look for the playlist and send it into the group. If you're going to be interested, you can let me know as well. But for this cohort, we are going to be looking into the Java programming and the automation together. So, like I mentioned, the next thing we're going to be doing is to get IntelliJ to open up the URL that we want to automate. So The next thing we're going to do is to declare or specify our WebDriver, and there's a lot of WebDriver documentation online and WebDriver commands as well. So I'm just going to try to open up one of them now. WebDriver command. Yes. Can expand this one, documentation. WebDriver, great. Yeah. So this is another sort of resource that you would have to read and also practice as well, because they are needed in testers' day-to-day job or during interviews as well. If you want to like brush up your memory, you can look at there are different free resources online. We have Selenium HQ, Guru 99, Tools QA, the Gherkin website as well. We have Lambda Test. So there are different resources you can use online and also read as well. So we are looking at WebDriver. So I can send this link into the group so you can obviously read up on it. So we're going to be looking at drivers. We are going to be looking at how to open up browsers as well. So there's a way you open up Chrome browser, Edge browser, Firefox, and all of those things. And the good thing about Selenium HQ is that it basically shows you the different programming languages syntax. So for Java, for instance, if you're looking into options, for example, this is how the syntax is going to look like. This is how the syntax looks like for C#. This is how the syntax looks like for JavaScript. If you're looking at argument as well, the same thing goes. There are different syntax for it. So we're looking at wait, for example, we're going to be using wait towards the end of the training. We're going to be using wait. There are different syntaxes for wait, implicit wait, explicit wait. We have the element as well. We're going to be looking at locator strategies. We are going to be looking at finding elements, how you find elements, and all of those things. So WebDriver is essentially important. So I can send this link to the group so you can obviously get used to it. And interview preps, you can go through this website or any other website I'm going to be sending as well. So I can do that later on in the class. But moving on back to our project, we are going to be declaring the WebDriver, which is the very first thing we need to do, right? So, and how do we do that? So all you need to do is specify public static WebDriver driver. Data should actually come up. No, I don't want to click WebDriver class. Do I have a Selenium in my form file? Interesting. I don't have Selenium. Yep. I'm gonna add a dependency in my current file that I need. And if you add a new dependency, you would always get this prompt to reload your Maven import. So this is basically to download the dependency into your IntelliJ, and you just need to click on it and you'll see the cursor or the thing moving just below here. And like I mentioned previously, you don't need to worry about this ones. I'm going to be resolving them later on. So if we go back into our step definition, yep. So I'm going to delete this one again. Web, exactly, yes. So when I was typing it previously, nothing came up. But now that I've added the Selenium dependency in my POM, I can see the various imports that I can use on Selenium HQ. But the one I'm going to be needing specifically is Selenium WebDriver. And you can see the capital W, the W is capital, the D is capital. That is one of the mistakes people make. And then they come and say, oh, they can't find it. So you need to be, so Java is case sensitive. That's another thing. Java is case sensitive. If it's a small W, you need to write a small W. If it is capital W, you need to write it as capital W. So we have public static WebDriver. Now, what does this mean? So when you see something like this, what does it mean? So the public is is a modifier, basically. And it basically indicates that the field can be accessed from any class in the package. So there are different types of modifiers. We have public, private, protected. Public means it's for everybody. It can be seen anywhere in any of the files in your project. Private means it can only be seen within this specific file. And protected means something else that I cannot remember, but I'm going to look into it before the next class. But public and private basically means what public and private means. So public means it can be seen anywhere else within your project or your packages. And private means it can only be accessed in that specific package or file. And when you hear the word static is a keyword that indicates that the field, it belongs to the class itself. So it means that there will only be one copy of this field shared across all instances of the class. And when we get to WebDriver, like I said, WebDriver is a package from Selenium. I've just shown you the website where we have WebDriver and a lot of other information on it. So WebDriver in this instance is just an interface in Selenium, and it represents the browser's window. And then where we have driver, which is what we have here. So it's basically an instance of this WebDriver. So because we don't want to be calling WebDriver everywhere within our packages, we can just use the name driver instead, or you can name it anything as far as it's meaningful. You can name it drive, you can name it WebDriver as well, but you can see I'm writing it in lower cases, so that's something you need to look at as well. But I'm just going to keep it as driver, great. Right, so putting all of this together now, so what does public static WebDriver mean? So it basically means that we are declaring a static field named driver of type WebDriver. So that's basically what this statement means. And what we need to do next is to just a minute. So what we need to do next is to specify our Chrome drivers. So I don't know if we looked into Chrome drivers in the first class, Say yes or no. Sorry, can anyone hear me?
Is a no.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Shouldn't look at Chrome driver. I'm trying to look for an easy approach to Chrome driver. Hmm. Just a minute. Easy approach to Chrome driver. Easy approach to Chrome driver. I do because there are two ways we can do the Chrome driver. Is either it is either we download the Chrome driver or we use a plugin instead. So the disadvantage of downloading the Chrome driver and having it on your system is every time your Chrome updates, you need to then download the corresponding Chrome driver that matches your Chrome browser version. But if we use the plugin, then once your Chrome updates by itself, your Chrome browser updates by itself, the Chrome plugin that you have in IntelliJ will automatically load up the corresponding Chrome driver that matches your Chrome browser version. So I think we can probably just start with the first one so you all know what you need to do just in case the company you're working for doesn't want you to use like the plugins or anything like that. So we'll go with the first approach. Then in the next class, I'm going to show you the second approach as well. So the first approach is going to be downloading the Chrome driver. So what do I need to do first? I need to, first of all, open up my Chrome. So we mostly use Chrome Chrome browser to run our automation test. I know some people do cross-browser testing on Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer. People barely use Internet Explorer, to be honest, or Safari, but the major one is Firefox or Chrome. So I first of all need to figure out what version of Chrome browser that I have, and I'm gonna check that now. So I think I currently have version 1.1.4, but I'm just gonna wait for this one to finish up. Doesn't take this long. Okay, I don't think I can wait. So I'm just gonna go with, oh great. I'm not gonna update my Chrome now, but we're gonna be going with version 1.1.4. So I need to look for the Chrome driver version 1.1.4 that matches my Chrome browser. So I think before I move on, I'm gonna quickly touch on browsers, Chrome specific functionality. just to sort of show you the different type of Chrome, to show you the different type of drivers, because for Chrome, we need Chrome driver. For Firefox, I think we need what we call the Gecko driver. Okay, I think I'm going to look for that before the next class. But when you're using Chrome browser, you need to download Chrome driver. When you're using Firefox browser, you need to download what we call the Gecko driver. So we are going to be using Chrome. So I'm going to download Chrome driver. All I need to do is Chrome driver download. And the very first option that comes up on Google search is what you need to click on that says WebDriver for Chrome. And once I click on that, this is why we need to know the version of Chrome browser we have. And like we checked, we have version 114.0.5735.198. So I need to look for a similar version that matches the version of Chrome that I have. So 5735198, and this is 90. So I'm going to download this one. And all I need to do is click on the link here. And you need to download the one that matches your operating system. If you're using a Windows, it's Windows 32. If you're using a Mac, it's Mac 64. So I'm going to click on Mac 64. And Mac 64. Mac 64. Okay, so before I open up that one, I'm going to mention something else as well. I need to move my Chrome driver into my resources folder. So the reason why we always recommend people to move their Chrome driver there is to prevent confusion when you're copying the path for your Chrome drivers. So I need to figure out a way to move my Chrome driver under the resource folder. But before I do that, I'm going to create a separate folder called driver under resources. Right, click on resources, new directory, and I'm going to call the folder driver. Press enter. And now I need to move my Chrome driver into this folder. And how am I going to do that? I need to open up the location to this folder and the location to where my Chrome driver was downloaded. So, new finder of File Explorer, download Chrome driver, and this is it here. So this is where my Chrome was downloaded. My Chrome driver was downloaded, I mean. Now I need to go and look for the location of this file. I know it's under my user desktop test project. Your own maybe C drive, idea project, or something else. So I need to go to my desktop, test project, SRC, test, resources, and I have my driver here, driver. So once I open that up, all I need to do is to move my Chrome driver from here to here. Another thing I want you to take note of is if you're using a Windows, your Chrome driver is going to have .exe at the end as an extension. But if you're using a Mac, it would not have .exe at the end. So now that I've moved my driver here, you'll see what happens now. If I go back to my project, if I go back to my project and click on my driver folder, I would see my Chrome driver right inside of it. Great. So now we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to continue on the step we already started on. So that is trying to open up our website. So all of this that we're doing is to sort of, is just like a preamble to make the system be in the right place to be able to open up the project. So what I need to do now is to create something that we call a constructor. And what do we mean by constructor? So these are some of the constructors. I'm looking for the right word to use. I don't just want to say constructors. Constructor under Java is called something. I'll figure out for the next class. So basically, we're going to create a constructor, and constructor is a type of OOP, object-oriented programming terminology in Java. That's what I was trying to look for. So constructor is a type of object-oriented programming terminology in Java. And we're going to be creating a constructor right now. And this is basically going to sort of house our WebDriver setup and the driver instance as well. So constructor is also one of the important keywords you need to understand or know in Java as well. So I'm going to be using a lot of constructors throughout our automation training. We're going to use constructors, we're going to use methods, we're going to use inheritances. And as we are using each one of them, I'm going to be mentioning them to you, going to be explaining them as well. And I'm also going to be sharing resources for you to look at also. And if you want to look into constructors properly as well, I will be sharing the Java playlist also around the topic that you can obviously look into within your own spare time and all of those things. But constructor is one of the important OOP terminology you need to know about. So I'm going to be creating a constructor. So creating a constructor is pretty much easy. And we're going to be creating a constructor for the registration step dev class. And all you need to do is type public, and then the name needs to match. So easily just copy this one. Yeah. So that is us creating the constructor right away like that. And the constructor has to be, like I mentioned, it has to have the same name as the class. So this is the constructor, and this is the class. You can already see the class, the way you know a class is going to have the keyword class in front of it. And this is a constructor for this specific class. And we've declared it to be public so that it can be accessible anywhere within the automation pack or through the project, wherever you want to use it. So that's why we've given it the public modifier. And the constructors can have parameters, or it can decide not to have parameters. So you define your parameters in this bracket, and this bracket has got a name, but I'm going to call it bracket, but this is what we call parentheses. This other type of bracket is what we call parentheses, but this one is just an ordinary bracket. And this is what houses your parameters. So you can decide to have, so your constructors can decide to have parameters, or you can decide not to have parameters based on what you're doing. But ours would not be having a parameter. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to specify my Chrome driver that I have downloaded down here. And how do I do that? We start with system.set property. And because I want to open up a Chrome browser, I'm going to be typing webdriver.chrome.driver. If I want to open up Firefox, I'm going to be having Gecko driver in here instead of Chrome. I'm going to be having Gecko instead of Chrome here, but because I'm opening up Chrome browser, I'm going to have Chrome in here. And then I'm going to put a comma, and then I'm now going to specify the location for my Chrome driver. And in order to make it easy for everyone, all you need to do is right click on the Chrome driver, copy path / references, because this is where people make mistakes. They don't copy the correct path to their Chrome driver. So I'm going to right click on my Chrome driver, copy path / references, and I'm going to copy the absolute path. The absolute path is the one that has the full path location specified. So we have the SRC, my name, my desktop, my test project, SRC. Sorry, I meant users at the start. Users, my name, desktop, test project, SRC, test, resources, driver, and Chrome driver. So I'm going to click on the absolute path. Once I copy that, I'm going to come into the double quotes that I've specified down here and just paste it inside. If you are using Windows, I think I need to minimize my screen. Yeah. There isn't a Windows, like I mentioned, you will have .exe at the end. But because I'm using a Mac, I don't need .exe. And you can also see that I've got one error, one warning to typo. The only thing that concerns me is the error, because you can already see that my registration step definition file here has got a red line underneath it. So all I need to do is to IntelliJ is actually good. It tells you what is missing most of the time, or sometimes it just proves difficult, to be honest. But right now it's telling me that the semicolon is expected. If I put my cursor there again, I should be able to show you guys. Try that again. Yeah. So you can see semicolon expected. That is why the red line is there. So if I put a semicolon now, the red line goes away. So that's basically, those are the little things you need to take note of. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to declare an instance of the driver that I have declared up here. And the way I do that is driver equals new Chrome driver. So because of the Selenium HQ that I have in my POM file, that is where I'm getting all of these suggestions. So assuming I don't have that plugin in my POM file, I'm not going to be getting all of these suggestions. But I think the POM file you currently have does not have the plugin inside. So I'm going to send the plugin to the group chat so that you can basically copy it into the POM file you currently have. So I need the Chrome driver instance. So when I selected a Chrome driver instance, you can see there's a new import up here as well for me, because this wasn't there before. And the next thing I need to do is add my semicolon. And once I've done that, we're going to try one more thing before we open up our web page. So in order to open up your web page, I'm going to go into my given step, because that's where I've specified given I navigate to the website. And what I'm going to do is open up the web page. And how do we open up the web page? We use the command driver.get URL. So that's the very first one that says get. And I'm going to put double quotes in here. That's now a double quote. And then I need to go ahead and copy this URL that I want my Chrome driver to navigate to. I go back. Let me try to get a URL. That's enough. Okay, I'm gonna try from my phone to get the URL again. Yep. And I'm gonna paste the URL in here. And if I try running my test, I'm expecting it to open up from browser and then navigate to this URL as well. Before I do that, I'm gonna try something. I noticed that my given step does not have this things in front of them. So just bear with me for a minute. I'm gonna change that to given I navigate to the website. Okay, let us try to run this one now. So fingers crossed this works. Interesting, it's not working. It's saying that my steps are not defined, but it is defined. And that's the issue I've been having. Yeah. I already expected this to happen. I sort of mentioned it at the start of the class. So I think I'm going to continue trying to fix this and also speak to other mentors as well, because I'm not sure why this is happening. Yeah, because it's connecting, they're all binding together. But it says I've not declared them at all. I'm gonna try something else, just a minute. Okay. Right, something is wrong somewhere. Okay, so I think this is where we are gonna have to end the class today. But I'm going to speak to the other QA mentor just to figure out why I'm having this issue. I'm not sure why. I'll definitely look into it for the next class. But we didn't get a chance to look at after what we're meant to look at today, but we looked at adding our POM file test runner test.ng to the project feature files. We looked at Gherkin syntaxes and what the keywords mean. We looked at step definition, and we also looked at the explanation for all the keywords that you see here. And then we also looked at downloading the Chrome driver and adding it to the inside of the project. And we tried to navigate to get a URL to open up, but that is not working. But it would be great if somebody that has got, if someone can actually try what I've done and get back to me just to see if they're able to run or open up the URL page. But if you do need assistance as well, you can reach out to your mentors in the team, then in the QA group chat as well. And I'll definitely create time to help. And we will be having a workshop on Friday as well on this topic that we've looked at today. But I'm open to entertaining questions now.
Hi, Oyin.
Hi.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. Is it whenever we're about to start a new test, we have to always set up the our framework, right?
Yeah, when you want to, so when you're working on a new project or you create a new project or you're trying to automate a new project, you need to set up your framework. And you don't need to install your plugins like your Gherkin and Cucumber if you've done it the first time. But you need to do the POM, the test engine, the test runner, the step definition, the feature files. You need to do all of those ones every single time you start a new project. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was what I was missing. Like, I thought I deleted everything I did.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Please, the Selenium dependency, the plugin, like I don't think we were shown how to do that in the previous class. So I don't know if you can just, because it seems you did it now, if you can just show us how you add it to the POM again. Yes, please.
Yeah, I just copied it from my previous project and I pasted it. Okay, so I think what would make it easy for everyone is if you look into your POM, there is an opening and closing tag. So this is the opening tag for this one, and this is the closing tag. The closing tag has got slash in front of it. So what you can do is look for the tag that says dependencies. That is the start of the dependency in your POM. So you can basically paste the Selenium dependency inside, like at the very top, so you don't get confused and paste it somewhere within another dependency where it's not meant to be. So if you look for dependencies and then you paste the dependency I'm going to send to you after dependencies, then that will be fine. And once you've done that, you need to reload your Maven import. It's going to pop up like this. And just click on that. And it's going to work its magic. And yeah, you're set.
Okay.
But another thing I can do is to, I don't know if I can send you guys like these dependencies. Actually, I'll just send you this one. So not everyone gets confused. I'll just send you this one I just added. Any other question? And I know there are going to be questions when you obviously go through the video again. And what I'm going to encourage everyone is before you come to the workshop, please watch the videos. Try to do things by yourself. Don't just come to the workshop, open up your laptop and expect everyone to tell you every single thing to do, please. I want you guys to get your hands dirty, mess around with the code. If you don't understand, speak up, but don't just come and expect people to tell you what to do. It's not good for you. It may be good for, it's obviously good for others because they are learning and you are just there, just doing, but not actually learning the steps. So I'm going to encourage everyone to try their very best to watch the video before the workshop on Friday. And if you have questions, speak to your mentors and buddies. And if you don't get a response or they can't help you, then you can post in the QA group chat. And then we'll then take you up from there and help you look into it. So I'm going to ask, does anyone have any other question before we round up for today's class?